This Nullscape guide is everything you need to know to greatly improve at the game. This collectathon roguelite is incredibly demanding with one of the highest skill ceilings I've ever seen in a Roblox game. But by this video's end, you'll see it's a lot more accessible than it might seem. I have 25 essential, very thorough tips for both beginners and endgame players, including how to survive difficult enemies like Voidbound babies and Telefragger, crucial collapse strategies, what classes are best for you, secret tips the game doesn't reveal to you, and more. This is a long guide. I have included timestamps in the video and in the description, which you can use if you need. Let's dive right in. Tip number 1, playing with others. Something that must be said about Nullscape is that it's typically easier to play with more people than less. This is because of one reason in particular. You only need one person to make it through the entire game. To be more specific, in order to beat a Nullscape level, you need to collect every single gift that is on the map. After doing so, it's going to spawn golden gifts which take the same place as the regular gifts and act as the currency for the game, meaning that the more you collect, the more upgrades you can get later. After collecting the regular gifts as well, it's going to spawn the beacon. In order to beat the level, you only need one person to make it to the beacon. This is amazing because it means that, let's say you have 8 people that are playing, 7 people die while trying to get the gifts and make it to the beacon, while only one person makes it through. That's literally going to count as a completion, and you're going to move on to the next level. This is amazing because it leaves a lot of room for error, and it means that for each additional person you're playing with, that's one additional chance to beat the level. Conversely though, if you're playing with a low amount of people, this leaves a lot less room for error, and it means you have to compensate. However, the Nullscape developers did make it slightly easier for people in solo and duo lobbies to make it through the game, which was an amazing move on their part. If you are playing in one of these lobbies, you're going to get a free upgrade upon starting each game. Paycheck. This is an upgrade that gives you 40 golden gifts plus 10 per beacon player every round if half or more players survive. This is amazing because no matter what, as long as you're making it through the levels, you're going to have half or more players in a solo or duo lobby, which means you're going to be getting a lot of golden gifts that you otherwise would not have gotten for fully free, which is amazing in these lobbies. Also, you'll gain access to an exclusive upgrade that is not available in party lobbies, which is called Adrenaline. It gives you plus 20 movement speed, and since you have access to the 3 swiftness rings that you would have had already, along with other mobility upgrades later, it gives you more speed, which helps you get golden gifts that you also would not have in later lobbies. Obviously as well, you have the casual game mode, which also has its own exclusive upgrades such as Orb, and along with being a slightly easier way of playing the game. Keep in mind all these tips so that you can start off Nullscape in an easy way. Tip number 2, golden gift yield. When starting a Nullscape run, it's crucial to get golden gift yield boosts early, as the more golden gifts you gain early and the sooner you get crucial upgrades, your run will be much easier. For instance, the earlier you get double jump, grace wings, ice skates, ninja belt, and shield among other crucial upgrades, the better. Do note that these upgrades can only be achieved after certain levels and have differing prices based on the amount of people in each lobby. It's important to strategize carefully to get as many golden gifts as possible though. Here are ways to increase this boost. First off, you can get upgrades like business license, which give 25% golden gift yield increase per business license, which you can get 2 up per run. You can also get golden gift yield through curses like Savory Ring, Lap 2, and Fragile gifts if you're willing to take on the risks that each of these curses provide, which, by the way, may not be worth it. Whether it's worth it or not is entirely based on the curse itself. You can also get golden gift yield increases through altars like Purgatory Altars, Chance Altars, and Echo Altars. Altar of Chance starts spawning in level 3 and has a chance, hence the name, to give more golden gift yield for the current level. Echo Altars, if used right after a Chance or Purgatory Altar, can effectively double their boost by echoing the altar by using it a second time. Purgatory Altars are probably the best tool for increasing golden gift multiplier, as upon use it grants an additional ×2 golden gift multiplier for the current level in exchange for a bunch of enemy spawns. Purgatory and Echo Altars start spawning in level 8. More on Purgatory Altars and other altars later. Point is, make sure you're capitalizing on all of this early so that you get more upgrades much quicker. Tip number 3, collapse strategies. During collapse, which is also known as rush according to the wiki, you should ideally be starting at the farthest away structures for golden gift collecting. In other words, whichever structures break first. This is because structures start breaking from the outside in being where the beacon is. Starting on the outside gives you the most time to get gifts. For your information, the structures that are more likely to break first are the ones that are farthest away, far structures that have the most paths and are very complex, and far structures that do not have support, meaning no ramps or slopes. Keep in mind that there are times where choosing what platform is more likely to break first is not easy at all. As an example, there could be 2 massive structures that are both as likely to collapse first due to distance, and you may have to take a bit of a gamble. This is where playing with others can be insanely helpful, as one person can take the first part of the structure while the other person does the other. Additionally, certain upgrades and curses can either take the pressure off of collapse or make it even worse depending on your playstyle. For instance, fragile gifts can ease the need for perfection since it increases your gift yield by so much, as long as you are mindful of a noticeably faster collapse. Conversely, Lap 2 forces a certain level of performance, specifically 40% of all golden gifts collected before the beacon spawns, in exchange for a hefty golden gift yield boost. Although this curse can be problematic, once collapse is complete, the beacon will spawn regardless of golden gift collection, which makes this curse relatively doable depending on mobility upgrades. Another example is the new metal upgrade, which replaces abilities with an extra double jump while giving small golden gift boosts and unlocking metal curses for the next intermission, which give golden gifts upon selection. There are many other upgrades and curses that affect collapse. Keep in mind that there was a greater curse called inverse destruction, which reverses the usual logic. By the way, greater curses start showing up at level 10. At least one gift should be kept near the real beacon when this curse is active. Either that, or someone enters immediately, or have a bunch of jump pads and a lot of grapplers. You'll naturally get good at collapse the more you play. Take advantage of these tips. Real quick, if you're benefiting from this guide so far, consider subscribing. I have a lot of faith in this video and I want to make sure it reaches the people that could benefit from it. Like, subscribe, hype, and share if you want to support me on this goal. Thank you so much and enjoy the video. Tip number 4, class recommendations. All classes have their benefits. Starting with Diver, the first one, it's an amazing class for mobility and quick gift collecting. It has an increased gift collection range while diving, which makes it a great class for rushing. It's the one most people are used to and will be using the most, as it is a free class which is equipped by default. Charger, the second one, is another free class which is great for making trip mines less stressful, and it's good for gift collecting. It can also be used to spawn platforms, utilizing a quick drop that it has, and to utilize iframes, because when you charge into a trip mine as a charger, it will not kill you. Glider is an insane class at getting quick forward momentum in endgame, along with giving you a chance to survive accidentally falling in the void. The more you glide down, the more momentum you gain. It's amazing for evading enemies and getting to the beacon quickly. Spirit has insane mobility potential, as you can use it to fling yourself in any direction and to gain heights and directions that you otherwise would not be able to reach with any other class. Grappler is one of the most unique ones. Provided that you watch your meter and safely stop prior to it depleting, Grappler allows you to navigate below the platforms and structures of the game with little to no risk. And as for Wanted and Prisoner, the problematic classes, these classes are locked behind achievements, and they give speed upgrades and trade for lack of abilities. For Wanted specifically, it gives 10% more speed, movement upgrades are stronger, and some upgrades do not work. Prisoner, on the other hand, improves your speed and gives more trip coins. Either way, all these classes have their uses. Grind the trip coins, buy them all, and try them out. Which one will you main? Tip number 5, settings. There are many useful settings which you should familiarize yourself with. They can be accessed at the bottom right of the lobby. Clicking into it, there are many things you can tweak, including whether you want vocals or lyrics to play at certain points of the game, what keybinds you are using, adjusting your field of view, and much more. Here are the standout settings. Number 1, if you are lagging, direct your attention to all the following settings: disabling skybox blur and VFX, reducing tile decoration, removing gift particles, and everything else in these sections. Adjusting these settings can greatly improve performance if you're struggling with it. Number 2, Voidbreaker, Sword Visual Assist, and Transparent ICBM. These are preferential settings which affect the enemies in this game. They can help you out based on what you prefer. I recommend trying them out and choosing to keep the ones that benefit you. Number 3, if you are a person who thinks the skybox is way too overwhelming, which is a circling visual background you see when joining a Nullscape lobby, which progressively gets more intense as the levels go on, you can both reduce and remove it in the settings based on what you prefer. This can help visually in endgame and can help if your eyes hurt from the game's often intense movement. Keep in mind this does invalidate the sandbox options there are in the shop, and I recommend trying at least some of them out at the earlier levels. Either way, be sure to familiarize yourself with these settings and choose combinations that work best for you. Tip number 6, beacon strategy. As mentioned previously, the only thing you need to do to get through each level is to have one person go into the beacon. This paves way for one strategy specifically. If playing with others, designate one person to go into the beacon immediately. This means that the other people can safely greet as many golden gifts as they can possibly muster, and if literally all of them die, it won't matter because one player beacon. This guarantees the run is safe, but also maximizes golden gift collection. Keep in mind that in lower lobbies like duos, it may not be ideal to do this, as doing this strategy could add as much as half your golden gift collection, if not more if one of the players dies. Greeting as much as you can becomes even more necessary in lower lobbies. However, it's not too bad since paycheck exists. Either way, take advantage of this strategy. It's some of the biggest leeway this game offers. Tip number 7, rerolls. During intermission, you're given selections of enemies, curses, and upgrades. Often, you may be given ones that you do not want at all. This is where rerolling comes in. This option is found to the right of the pedestals. You are given free rerolls of curses and enemies, but they are limited. As an example, in a solo lobby, you get 2 enemy rerolls and 3 3 curse rerolls with free shop rerolls available. For curse and enemy rerolls, choose wisely on when to use them. Saving them as long as possible is ideal so that you ideally have as much control as possible in the later stages of the game. Keep in mind though that in the case of shops, rerolling is slightly different. You aren't exactly limited in amount of rerolls. Instead, you are limited by whatever golden gifts you happen to have and what shop upgrades are available in the level's upgrade pool. For instance, if you reroll so much that all the items of that shop's upgrade pool are depleted, the pedestals will be empty. This kind of sounds like another game I know. Point is though, sometimes rerolling is essential to get the items that will help you run best, and save golden gifts for what they are really needed for. Using that solo example again, once you get to the shop in level 3, one of the best choices you could make is maximizing your golden gift yield early. This could mean rerolling until you see both paycheck and business license. Either way, use these rerolls wisely according to your playstyle. Tip number 8, curse pollution. One important tip that I have not discussed yet is polluting the curse pool. During some intermissions, you will have to choose a new curse to apply to the run. Something to keep in mind is that there are certain enemies that will not show up in the curse pool until the associated permanent enemies have been chosen. Use this to your advantage. For instance, you can avoid Mart Slide, Bigger Marts, and Mart Infection by avoiding choosing Mart early, which can make it more likely to get beneficial curses like Random Spawn and Lower Gravity earlier in your runs. You can also avoid Mighty Gong, Overtuned, and Concussion, among others, by not choosing Bell early. Although it is sometimes unavoidable to add new enemies to the game and therefore impossible to not add to the curse pool, choosing duplicate enemies when available, such as another ICBM or another Springer, can help avoid annoying curses. Note, do not do this for Baby. Recall that 2 permanent babies will cause Voidbound babies to join the pool as early as the moment you meet this requirement. More on this later. Plus, there are lots of harmful baby curses you want to avoid. Keep this in mind and use it to your advantage. Tip number 9, death messages. If you ever end up dying and want to get back to spectating or the next attempt as soon as possible, you have to get past the death messages first, stated by Domas P, one of the developers of this game. In order to do this, just click on him and type "shut up." Works like a charm. You can also just double click him. Both of these get rid of him for that specific instance that you died only. However, if you want a more permanent option, here's what you can do. You can now silence him entirely by typing "boy quiet" after clicking him, and he will never show up again. This will also unlock an option to toggle him on and off. There are a lot more awesome combinations and ways this death screen can be utilized. Go watch RyCMP's video to see them all. I'm not going to describe them all because he already made a banger video covering it, and it's absolutely worth a watch. Go show it some love, and thanks for discovering it, man. Tip number 10, player UI. One of the best quality of life changes added in the patch 5 Doom and Bloom update is the new player UI at the top right. Previously it was just a couple numbers that would be very unreadable in the middle of intense gameplay, but now it's much smoother and clearer to read. There are new icons, colors, and organization to indicate whether a player is alive, dead, or beaconed. One of the best parts about it is that even though there are sound effects to indicate these occurrences, if you're playing to little or no sound for any reason, it also flashes at the top right when something happens. It's very easy to read, and should make it much easier to make sense of even the largest of lobbies. Tip number 11, Kolóna Strategies. Kolóna can be a very problematic entity if you do not approach it correctly. If you are not someone who is confident with dealing with Kolóna, getting or choosing this enemy could spell out certain death for some players. However, there are many ways to approach dealing with Kolóna easily. Before we get into the strats, here is how Kolóna works. Kolóna first appears starting at level 10. It first will show up on your screen with a number that can range from 5 to 15 for casual or extreme mode, and 8 to 10 for casual mode, according to the wiki. Once it reaches the number that was initially flashed, it will show its eyes and rapidly spin. If you are not using your ability at the moment it does this, it will flash red and kill you. This can be super difficult to time, especially if there are a lot of enemies around you, but here are some things to keep in mind as strats. Number 1, Kolóna will stop counting if you are infected by flesh and will not kill you if you are holding the medal from the medal upgrade. Kolóna will also not show up at all if you are playing as prisoner. Use all this to your advantage. Number 2, Kolóna has a signature sound effect that is played from every number it ticks up. You can count out loud the number until it reaches the shown number so that you don't actually have to look at Kolóna. You can still properly use your ability when the time comes. Number 3, want to baby-proof Kolóna? Here's a strategy you can use if time allows. If you forget your number, one strategy is just using your ability from so high up that it will last for several numbers. For instance, if you don't remember the number but know it was double digits, if you're playing as Glider, you can start gliding from very high, only stopping when Kolóna is gone. The same can be done with a dive, grapple, and every ability really in some form, so long as you position it and time it correctly. It makes it so you're guaranteed to use this ability for several numbers. Smart, right? Number 4, once Kolóna reaches the number and shows its face, you have a very brief time to react before it actually kills you, meaning you do not have to use your ability before it shows up, you just have to use it before it flashes red. This means you can focus on Kolóna, have your trigger finger over the ability key, and use it the moment you see those eyes. I recommend learning to do it sooner though, only do this if needed. And number 5, one other strategy is just using your ability, for example a dive, after each count if your ability allows it. Don't panic when Kolóna appears, use these strats. Tip number 12, Flesh. Flesh is the entity that slowly follows the nearest player infecting any tiles around it. Stepping on an infected tile prevents ability use for 6 seconds and gives you a brief orange glow which signifies immunity. After a while it goes away unless you're standing on infected tiles still, in which case the cycle repeats. The immunity makes it relatively easy to avoid flesh. Here are other things to keep in mind. Flesh kills you on contact, but since you move faster than flesh, you are able to survive close maneuvers with flesh even if you are in very close proximity. This is why even in the event that you have multiple fleshes, grouping them up can make them trivial in some cases. However, if they are scattered, it can be very problematic, especially for difficult terrain like ice pathing and high rises in endgame levels. One other thing which will be discussed in the next tip, ringing Bell purifies any infected tiles around it. Keep in mind all these tips and don't be stressed seeing flesh, it's not too bad. Tip number 13, Bell. Do not underestimate Bell. Bell is honestly super easy, and although it is now harder in patch 5, it's still not that bad. However, it can get problematic fast. Here are some things to look out for. Number 1, Bell tries to predict where you're going to end up by tracking your velocity, aka speed, and spawning accordingly. This is why there are so many times where you run into Bell who just so happen to be in the right place. Try and bait out Bell before starting collapse by facing a direction that you will not be going, for example, to make this less of a problem. Number 2, Bell can actually kill you now. If you hit Bell enough times, the octave of its ring will be lower and lower. After a while, you'll be overtuned, which will be denoted through the vignette on your screen. Hitting Bell again while in this state will kill you. Number 3, Bell purifies flesh around it upon being rung. This can be used in a pinch if you ever are in urgent need to use your ability, flesh is on you, and Bell just so happened to spawn in front of you. More ringing could also cause enemies to purify tiles accidentally, by the way. Number 4, curses make Bell an absolute nuisance. For instance, Mighty Gong makes Bell kind of like Springer and the spring-loaded curse in a way, and can become lethal fast since Bell typically spawns near you. The concussion curse will also prevent jumping after hitting Bell for 7 seconds. I would not recommend choosing Bell curses like these as it gets annoying very quickly. Number 5, keep in mind that whenever you hit Bell, it affects all of your teammates visually. This can genuinely be enough to kill your teammates in many instances, especially in endgame. Try to avoid touching it at all costs, especially if Bell is trying to hide under a platform or something similar. Tip number 14, Voidbound Baby, Voidbound Guardian, and Voidbreaker. These are some of the craziest, most demanding, some of the coolest entities in this entire game. We are going to cover all of them in this single tip. If you're anything like me and completely and utterly full, the moment these entities show up on screen for 0.2 seconds, you're going to need this tip. Let's get started with Voidbound Baby. Number 1, Voidbound Baby will be added to the enemy pool, meaning as enemies that can be chosen during intermission once you have 2 permanent babies in the roster. This means you should be adding no more than 1 baby. Honestly though, I wouldn't even add 1, because these fellas can spawn kill you if you lag, so why would you want more than 1 anyways? Number 2, Voidbound Baby is very similar to the regular baby, except it is significantly more difficult. It is a lot faster when it comes to its dashes, it dashes more often, and the sound of Voidbound Baby is significantly different. Not only that, but Voidbound Baby and regular baby are affected by the same curses, so for example, this one does affect both of them. This is something to keep in mind when selecting what curses you want for your runs. Something to be said about regular babies, by the way, is that they have some of the most lethal run-ending curses such as Tantrum and Rebirth. Be cautious. Second, we have Voidbound Guardian. Before talking about this scary skull, we should mention the regular Guardian first. This enemy will periodically dash to nearby players, eventually shooting projectiles towards the players that attempt to predict where you will be moving. Although these shots cannot travel through platforms and can therefore be blocked, Guardian can be very overwhelming if you're not used to him, especially with the shotgun or camouflage curses. Now take that and transfer it to an even harder version. Voidbound Guardian does the exact same thing, but faster. It fires an extra shot, and its bullets aren't just bullets. Once they collide with something, they explode in beams. Yes, beams. The dashing Voidbound Guardian does, it's also much more frequent than before. It's crucial to get mobility upgrades and to skillfully use abilities to effectively evade this crazy entity, as if you don't, you will easily get caught in those beams. And now, third, we have Voidbreaker. I don't know about you guys, but this may be one of the coolest looking entities in the entire game. He joins the enemy pool at level 15, which tells you a lot about his difficulty. When Voidbreaker spawns, he floats directly next to you. You cannot avoid him. He materializes swords in front of you, and you have to make sure your body is not facing where the swords will be piercing. The swords will go through you no matter what, that's not the concern. The concern is instead to make sure you aren't looking at a blade head on. You also need to make sure you're actually moving. Standing still will result in Voidbreaker killing you regardless of where you're facing, even if it is correct. The enemy is scary going into it, but the more you play against Voidbreaker, the easier he gets, and eventually he becomes second nature much like everything else. However, stay away from his curses. They make him a lot harder to effectively survive and avoid. Overall, these 3 entities are a large part of what makes endgame so difficult. Once you encounter them, lock in and do your best. Tip number 15, ICBM. Also known as Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, it's relatively self-explanatory. It will show an indicator over you before eventually landing on you. This is slightly changed in extreme as it will attempt to predict your forward movement in this mode. If you are at a tight corner or the end of a path with an ICBM about to explode, or god forbid, several, you may want to intentionally wait so that you don't get trapped and forced to either insta-die or do a risky maneuver. Note that this may not be possible in endgame, which is why getting jump pads, trio orbs, and other mobility upgrades is so crucial. Other ICBM tips. You can get very close to ICBM and its indicator without issue, provided that you are careful. If you have Scorched Earth active as a curse, it's relatively easy to navigate so long as you are constantly in control and being purposeful of where you are headed. You can even spin around just to wait the effect out. Make sure to experiment with transparent ICBM as well, as it can make it easier depending on your preferences, as mentioned before. There are other curses to be mindful of as well, including Missile Silo, Bigger Blast, and Hollow Tiles. They all modify ICBM in various ways. I recommend trying all of them and seeing which ones are easiest for you. Tip number 16, jump pads. It's easy to ignore jump pads as a beginner, but never do. Especially with mobility upgrades such as Grace Wings and Double Jump, jump pads become an absolute godsend for completing otherwise impossible maneuvers and avoiding this game's hardest entities. Another tip about jump pads is that you can enter them from under them. For instance, if you have any amount of double jumps, use that to your advantage because it's super easy to utilize them quickly that way. Keep in mind though that without mobility upgrades, this might not be super possible. Only use this strat when you feel ready. Other jump pad like upgrades include the amazing grapple points and trio orbs. These all have very similar benefits as regular jump pads and allow you varying levels of mobility, all of which have effective use in both early game and end game. Try them out. Tip number 17, altars. There are many altars that this game has to offer. Let's discuss each. Note, Purgatory Altars will be discussed in a later tip. Altar Protection starts spawning at level 3 and grants a shield that costs golden gifts to use. This is an altar which is very useful if you are doing last man standing, for example, in a large lobby and happen to lost your shield or didn't have one. Just keep in mind that the price scales very quickly. Only use it if you need to save the run in order to not miss out on upgrades. Next is Altar Chance. We discussed this briefly. Aside from golden gift yield, it can also remove trip mines, revive players, spawn enemies, and remove jump pads, among other possibilities based on the circumstances of the lobby and level. Altar of Passage starts spawning at level 6 and spawns platforms which collapse quickly, but they allow you to gain extra golden gifts before the usual collapse. Just bear in mind though that it can cause extreme lag depending on your internet and PC, so use it sparingly if this is an issue. Next is Altar of Purification. Spawning at level 10, it allows you to completely remove a random curse and trade it for an enemy, taking away golden gifts depending on the curse difficulty. This can be very useful if you were forced to choose a curse you hate or are terrible at, but keep in mind it is a gamble and is not guaranteed to choose the curse you actually wanted removed. As for Altar of Echo, it can essentially double any altar that gets used by echoing it, repeating its effect. The last one, Altar of Chaos, creates a Chaos Shop next intermission that is unrerollable and can have any enemy or curse in the entire game, including ones that can only show up in later levels. It is a gamble and a half, but it can be beneficial depending on your goals. I like using it as a fun way to spice up runs whenever you see it. Toy around with these altars and use them if you're ever in a pinch. Tip number 18, Operator. Operator is one of the easiest entities. In my opinion, he is the easiest, lowest maintenance, most safest pick out of any entity in the entire game. All you have to do is literally just listen for its sound cue. Basically, the moment you stop moving and stop using your abilities, it goes away literally instantaneously. Just watch for the green face. The main concern of this entity is just making sure it doesn't prevent you from doing other things or avoiding more crucial entities. But as long as you are not using your ability and you let go of your keys, you'll be completely fine even if you're in the air. It also doesn't matter if you're jumping, as Operator doesn't check for this. Even the Voidbound version is relatively doable, requiring you to just keep your eyes on Operator and wait until it twitches. This has to be done 3 times though, which is the only reason Voidbound Operator isn't exactly a safe pick like the regular version is, but for the non-Voidbound version, it's an instant pick. If you aren't playing with sound or otherwise are only relying on visuals, you can also immediately stop moving whenever you see Operator. This normally won't be an issue since Operator vanishing is basically instant, but keep in mind of husks while doing this. One other thing is that if you do not stop moving in time, it's actually still possible to survive Operator if its light goes red. If you stop right before it shows its teeth, you can still survive. I still wouldn't plan on doing this though, it's not smart to get this close to death, but make sure to utilize this leeway. Tip 19, Telefragger. This is one of the most demanding entities in the game. He appears at level 8 and attempts to teleport in front of you. He can literally kill you so quickly if you don't realize he's targeting you and your mid ability. However, they just made him a lot easier to detect. Telefragger now has a new indicator. As of patch 5, if Telefragger is targeting you, your character will emit a spark effect at the same time as the sound cue, which is then when he will teleport in front of you. Use this to prepare to stop going forward so you don't get immediately killed. Also, he teleports in front of where your body specifically is facing, not your camera. Use this to your advantage so you can continue advancing forward without as much inconvenience, because you can bait him using this tech. Some other considerations are that Telefragger will only ever spawn in front of you, not behind, above, or below. His teleports are every 7 seconds, and his associated curses can make him even more of a menace if you are not used to him. Be careful. Tip number 20, random spawn. I've already shared in my shorts that random spawn is really useful. Its usefulness goes way beyond just making it easier to split up while in groups though. For laggy PCs, random spawn can be beneficial, as it makes you spawn away from the other players, meaning there's a less of a reason to lag. Also, many enemies, including Mart and Baby, spawn very close to the normal spawn point. Spawning away from spawn makes it take longer for the enemies to reach you, along with making Baby's spawn kill for laggy players a lot less likely. This usefulness is not to be ignored. However, make sure to watch for trip mines before you move, unless you need the I'm all in badge still, I guess. Tip number 21, height cancel. This is an advanced tip. There are many instances where you don't always want height. Some examples include when a jump pad is your only way to prevent death, but the height it gives you takes away from the time you could be collecting golden gifts during collapse. Another example is if Belle hides under the floor and sends you upwards while you are busy collecting gifts and you need to get down fast to avoid enemies. You can actually cancel out this airtime entirely. For instance, if you are playing diver or glider, you can use your ability as soon as you are flung up to prevent yourself from being in the air for too long, as shown on screen. If you're a grappler, you can grapple to the ground while Charger can slam back to the ground when needed. Double jumps can be used in a similar way. All of this can also help for the Oblivion Greater Curse, which you need to stay on the ground for. Tip number 22, Mart. Mart used to be super easy and never required much stress before patch 5, but now Mart poses a larger threat. Mart is a goofy goober water imp who slowly chases you. He is normally a negligible concern and still wasn't that bad in previous updates, even with Martpocalypse, which spawns several Marts on top of any other ones you already had. However, as of March 5, Marts can merge and get much larger through the new bigger Marts curse. The more Marts merge, the faster and larger they get. In other words, Mart is a real threat now, which also means Martpocalypse is a genuine threat too. Don't underestimate Mart anymore. If you're lucky though, maybe you'll see a massive Mart plushie headed your way in game. Tip number 23, Purgatory Altars. These are the secret to getting golden gifts quickly and getting a ton of upgrades faster than you ever would have with other methods. These altars now give ×2 golden gift yield additionally. This comes to the downside of getting a bunch of random temporary enemies in the current enemy pool for the rest of the current level immediately after use. This is especially worth it, especially early in the run if you are going for endgame. But there are several things you must keep in mind. Number 1, Purgatory Altars will only give golden gift benefits if you have collected under 50% of all gifts. If you collect more than 50%, the altar changes to an everyone revives altar, which is only available until 90% of gifts are collected. Note that this is also the same time void implosions start spawning if you have that greater curse in your run. Obviously, utilize the revives if you need to, just keep in mind the extra enemies downside is the same. Number 2, it's ideal to get as close to 50% as possible before activating the altar if you're using it for greed. For instance, with 300 gifts, activate Purgatory at exactly 149 or lower. Number 3, if you have access to an Altar of Echo, you can get the additional gift yield twice, and this has exponentially positive impacts on your run and its upgrades, getting multipliers as high as 5 times or more. This does implicate 2 additional waves of extra enemies though. If you're lucky and skilled enough to survive this, I highly recommend it, especially early in the run, as it can make a huge difference in upgrade access. Both of these altars spawn starting at around level 8 and will help you greatly, but only if you are lucky enough to get them of course. Just keep in mind that if you ever use a revive altar specifically, it will not appear again for the next 4 levels. This includes not only the revive version of Purgatory, but also the greed version. It's either money, playing it safe, or saving the run as necessary. Choose wisely. Tip number 24, Razorbloom. Arguably one of the easier greater curses. Some general tips for Razorbloom is that once it lands in your head, that's your heads up that it is almost time to hit a jump pad. There's a sound cue for when he appears. You do not and should not go out of your way to hit a jump pad until after Razorbloom starts screeching. Hitting a jump pad prior to this does nothing. By the way, trio orbs do not count for getting rid of Razorbloom, but grapple points and regular jump pads both do. Also, you have much longer than you may realize in standard mode. In casual and standard, you have around 20 seconds to get rid of Razorbloom, whereas in extreme, you have about 10. Don't let those pinwheel screeches stress you out. Tip number 25, Seamines. These are finicky but can be used to your benefit. They start appearing at level 10. Upon being touched, they will explode after a few moments. Seamines have 2 radiuses. If you are too close, it will kill you within its first radius. If you are just outside of the killing radius, you'll be flung instead by its second radius. This can be problematic as touching a Seamine can get you flung at such a velocity that you may be completely unable to save yourself. Especially if you are below it, it can send you straight into the void. However, Seamines can be of use if you only hit them from the top. If you activate them from above and move towards the direction you want to be flung, you both move out of the kill radius while also setting yourself up to get properly propelled. Seamines can be used to safely get away from enemies or propel yourself to the beacon fairly quickly. You can also get the Barotrauma curse to increase the size and knockback of Seamines to intensify their propulsion effect. Doing this is risky though, as you honestly have to keep hitting Seamines to get used to their radiuses and what maneuvers and positioning you need to actually be able to utilize them properly. It requires some trial and error, and you're probably going to die while practicing. Keep in mind that this is advanced tech and that there's completely nothing wrong with just avoiding them entirely. If you want to not use them, you can select the Run Greater curse and then just completely avoid them. Technically though, they can still be used for propulsion with this curse, but it's difficult and has ping issues, so I wouldn't. Try everything out though. And that's it. I am so proud with how this turned out. This is probably my most thorough, longest, most in-depth guide out of any guide on my entire channel. I really hope you benefited from it. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Comment below if you have any questions, and don't forget to join the community Discord in the description if you have any concerns or if you want to hang out. I have poured my heart and soul into this guide, and in doing so, this guide is my love letter to the Nullscape community. Thank you everyone, including Lightsoul, the Nullscape Wiki, and everyone else for helping make this happen. For now though, thank you for watching, live well, and have a great rest of your day.